Tell your story. Shout it, write it, whisper it if you have to, but tell it. Some won't understand it, some will outright reject it, but many will thank you for it. Eventually, one by one, voices will start whispering, "Me too." And your tribe will gather. This is Bridging the Silence with Kiarie Wachira. The more we're challenged about the things we believe, the more true to ourselves we become. I think there's a common phrase in African households, this is just the way it is. This is how it's been. This is how I was taught. This is how we do our things. It's like, if you don't agree with it, then that's your own problem. Get your own family. So there's a lot of these statements that we talk about that mainly point towards our passivity. It's like, that's the way you were brought up, but are you able to be challenged on that? Are you able to be challenged on a belief you have, even on an attitude you have, or something like that? And being able to sit there, maybe even if you disagree with someone else's belief, but just being able to hold space for them to be able to talk about it. I think that's when we begin moving past the silence. Because sometimes we just want to put things on the table and say, this is a flower pot and this is a mug. And they can both sit on the same table. And that's okay. And they don't have to interchange identities.
How do you feel about speaking about yourself? Like, what emotion would you say comes to the surface?
Oh, fear. I think it's just probably even get into this in the podcast as well. I've been on a whole journey of just returning back to myself, in a sense. Where it's like you start off being so overly sensitive, and then you're told, don't be sensitive. Like, you're a man in society. Like, what are you doing with yourself? So now you stay that way for a very long time. And I think that's even about the whole idea of numbness and stuff. Because you're numb to emotions, like, okay, I'm sad. But like, move on. The past in the past, just move on. But then now, you just get to a place where like all the feelings you bottled up just basically explode. And you just left in this like, okay, where did that come from? Because that was 2020 for me. So now you have time to yourself, to be by yourself. And it's like, oh yeah, all those things you're running away from, here they are now. Like, you're going to have to do them. So now just getting into that was so, wow, that was scary. So just for a long time, just not being able to accept that that's how I felt. That's how I feel. That's how I, process that. And not necessarily comparing it with society's expectations of who I'm supposed to be, and that. Because when we talked about laughing and stuff, being a copy maker. So for a long time, I was always the brave, like smiley people pleaser, I think is the right word to use. And then just realizing that actually that's not even beneficial. That's more harmful than beneficial. So I was like, oh, okay. I thought that was a good thing. You're trying to paint people's good graces. Trying to keep the peace. But now there you are, just realizing that the more you people please, the more resent you build up towards people. And it's like, wait, what? How is that? How are the two correlated? Because I'm trying to make you happy. But I suddenly start hating you all of a sudden. It's like, that's so weird. And it's also not good as well for the relationships and stuff.
That's so true. And it's literally like the difference between kindness and people pleasing. With people pleasing, you feel resentment. With kindness, you feel like expansive. But I think it's really interesting what you said about the journey back to yourself and how everything caught up to you. We're starting, by the way. You can cut it off.
She used my tactic. I was like, oh, okay, maybe the cameras are still being set. It's like, okay. Well played. Okay.
So that sounds like another topic that, majority of our Kenyan society is silent about. Is, what we do with the things that we keep in our backpack and we don't look at them and address them. So, bridging the silence, in what ways have you struggled with the silence in your life? Or what areas have you experienced that in?
I think we've been going back to the numbness. When you just numb to your emotions for a long time, there's this period of silence where you don't know who Mark is. You don't know who Kiarie Wachira, as the host name is. So there's a lot of time where you're living for people and you don't even know who you are. And then you don't even know how to get to who you are. So there's a lot of frustration. But because you've like hidden it so much for such a long time, it becomes the norm. It's like, oh no, it's fine. I'll be whoever you want me to be because that's who I'm supposed to be, you know?
Yeah.
So I think just the silence for me has just been the frustration of wanting to be myself, but not knowing who myself is, but getting used to that norm in such a way that's like, it's like, okay, I guess this is just the person I am. I'm a people pleaser, you know? Yeah.
Yeah, as opposed to like kind of, is it submitting to that narrative that has been imposed on you?
Yeah, yeah.
And what did that frustration feel like for you? Like that must have been a lot going on.
Oh, man. I think it was a lot.
Yeah.
I think it only took the breakdown in 2020 for me to finally realize just how much I'd been bottling up. Because no, before that, you're convincing yourself, no, you're fine, you're absolutely okay. Now, 2020, when the breakdown happened, it's like you just realize the weight. And it's like, because it took me about 2.5 years to get back and just put everything on the table and be like sorting things out. It's like, okay, that was valid. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the frustration, it felt so, I think, lonely at times because it's like you're seeing everyone move forward and now you have to move backwards.
Okay.
And you have to go back to childhood and this and that and like what exactly happened and this.
Yeah.
So it's like you feel stuck, I think, momentarily. And you don't know, I think when you're in the heart of it, you don't know when this is going to end or when it's going to come to a situation where you know who you are, you're okay with who you are, and you're able to embrace that and move towards, you know, your potential or maximizing who you are, I guess.
Yeah. And what kind of helped you to stay with the tension? You know, because there's that fear of like, is it going to last forever? You know, what helped you navigate that tension?
Oh my God. I think, first of all, this is actually a very interesting story. There's a day I was scrolling on Instagram. I think during this time I created like a pseudo account. I left the main account. So it was just my own little space.
Yeah.
You know, 0 followers, 0 following, just scrolling on my For You page. And I still love poetry. Maybe I don't write as much as I used to. But I love poetry and poetic reels, spoken word stuff is really nice. But then when I was scrolling through, I got to a guy who was talking, and I thought, okay, this is going to be poetic. It's going to be a poetry of spoken word. And there's no rhyme. I'm like, and then I was so mad. I was like, I scrolled away. And then I kept getting the same reels from this guy. This is Matthias James Barker. Do you know Matthias?
No, I don't.
Psychotherapist.
Oh, yes, I know. He's a bit blonde.
Yes. Yeah. Really tall guy.
And you got angry at that. That's so real.
Because I was like, oh my God, where's the spoken word here?
Yeah.
You know, because I thought everything on my For You page was going to be spoken word.
Yeah.
But they say the For You page has an interesting way of diagnosing you, you know, when you're in heart of things. So now there's this one day I just decided, you know what, I'll just listen to this guy. So the reel I was playing, I can't remember exactly what he was saying, but I know the message was basically like your feelings are valid. And I think I hadn't had that before or for a very long time.
Yeah.
Your feelings are valid. And that just hit me like a rock. Like it was like, whoa, okay.
Yeah.
Like, so you're telling me that how I'm feeling right now is valid. It's okay. It's normal. It's part of the human experience. Because I thought it was not, you know, for a very long time. And so now, of course, now with that, I think that's when I got deep into the field of psychology and just watching reels, just seeing them from there and just being like, oh, okay. Now just getting to learn so much about myself through these many videos. Maybe that's not the best approach.
But
you know, therapy. Yeah. It's like good therapy, guys. But in that moment, that's what was working for me.
Yeah.
Especially in a space where I didn't feel like I could share that with someone else, like be vulnerable with someone else, you know, man in society and stuff like that. So I think just keep getting these little bits of information, because there were 1-minute videos that would come up and it's like, yeah. I think that's what helped me just stay within the tension and just be present.
Yeah.
Because this constant reminder of like, it's like, oh yeah, there's someone out there who thinks my feelings are valid.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know who he is. I have no idea. But like he said they're valid. So they must be valid. Yeah. And I think that's also part of the motivation behind the podcast. It was like, wait, that worked for me in a time when I couldn't necessarily access therapy and all those things.
Yeah.
So how much more if we do this thing make an episode, cut out small clips. And maybe that ends up being the quote-unquote Matthias of someone else's timeline, you know, where they're going through something and then they see these videos and they're like, oh, wow. I don't know who you are. But you say my feelings are valid and you're making a lot of sense. So I'll stay within the tension of being present, just living in the moment. Yeah, so I think that's what happened.
Yeah, that's a wonderful story. And what stood out to me is you mentioned you were very isolated, like through that tension.
Yeah.
But in that isolation, you also had like a pseudo account that was just for you, which was your own little bubble.
Yeah.
And it sounds like it was a safe kind of space for you to just explore, you know, without the eyes, without everyone seeing what you're liking.
It's like Mark Lecter's really. It's like, are you okay?
And
is everything good? Yeah.
Exactly. And especially as a man in Kenyan society, you know, like how it is viewed upon to be self-reflective, to like to lean into your vulnerable side. It must have been a refreshing kind of isolation because it was within this safe bubble.
Yeah.
And how was that kind of isolation different from the isolation of frustration, if you know what I mean? It's a bit of a...
I think that's such a beautiful contrast because I think the isolation of frustration was just, I'm lost and I don't know where to turn to. I don't know where to go. I think that was the time I was also struggling with my faith, like just my belief in God and everything. So everything was just falling apart around and I just didn't feel like I could reach out to someone and explain. So it's not that people weren't necessarily there, just that I just didn't, there was so much hesitation to that because it's such a forged in belief that my feelings are not valid. So why am I telling you about them? So the isolation of frustration for me was lonely. It was very, you're by yourself, you're trying to figure out life, everything is falling apart. I mean, the thing you're holding on to, because as a Christian, for as long as I can remember, maybe since 6 or 5 years old. And then now that what I had held on to the most was also becoming a bit shaky. I was having my own questions and stuff like that. So that was so overwhelming. I think that's another word to use. But now the isolation of, is it validation? Isolation of validation, I guess.
Or like quiet exploration.
The quiet exploration, just being in that safety of that bubble was just like, you feel progress, though very slow, but you still feel it. Like I could tell that I was moving towards a point of like understanding deeper, like what's going on. Because before it's like, I'm so confused. I still don't know what's going on and I don't know why everything is going like this. So now it's like, I'm beginning to understand what's going on. And I'm beginning to get back to, I guess, where I'm trying to be. Very slowly. But there's some progress.
Wonderful. And it goes back to showing that, you know, that in those moments of quiet exploration, like through your story, you can also find self-realization. And it makes me think of your podcast name, you know, Bridging the Silence. And your story sort of goes to show that even in the silence, you can find yourself. And it doesn't have to be like that frustrating type of isolation. But I want to hear from you. I'm sure everyone also wants to hear, like, what was going through your mind when you came up with the name Bridging the Silence? Like, what's the intention behind it? Because it's a wonderful name.
A very funny story as well. So, actually, I think only my editor and a few people close to me know this. We changed the name like 6 times when we started because it was, I think the first name was Today We Heal. Or something along those lines. I think that another name was like what? I'm trying to remember the other names. But that's so, it was like 8s without the H. So it was everyone is going through something without the H. That was catchy, but I was like, nah, it doesn't feel...
Wait, everyone is going
through something without the H. So 8s, like the number 8. So
Okay.
So I think we're really just trying to capture something that does, I think, 3 things. So first of all, it captures the main message that we're trying to pass out. That we want to be able to talk about this field of mental health a lot more deep and a lot more specifically. I think the inspiration being Matthias, where he'd have very specific videos. It's like people pleasing. He'll talk about that for 1 minute. I was like, oh, okay. As compared to other videos where it's like, so mental health is how you care about your mental health. Are you caring about, I find it so boring, just being honest. Because I was like, I don't think we're achieving anything when we define mental health 26,000 times. But when we go into very specific things and we begin to do something. So I wanted a name that is able to fit that. I wanted a name that was able to have longevity. So where I think being a medical student and also being in the medical field as well, I need to find a way where we can bridge the worlds of psychology and medicine and society and everything like that, where we can just also talk about what are the experiences of people who are going through illness and disease, maybe even physical illness. Because I don't think it's talked about enough, because we talk about them as two different things. Like there's physical health and there's mental health, but sometimes the two meet and coincide. Where I was talking to a friend who's actually I have an upcoming episode as well. Probably will get to see this, where the person who I'll be recording lives with lupus. So lupus is an autoimmune disease that's lifelong.
Yeah.
It can only be managed, but it comes with so many psychological, let me say, issues, for lack of a better word. And that's not talked about enough. Actually, she does, it's called Crid's Corner. She does a lot of talks about lupus and just the mental health aspect of it. I even saw someone like type 1 diabetes, and there's a whole community around there. And there's so many different areas where we don't talk about enough, where when someone is living with a chronic illness, even something like dementia, like they don't get enough spotlight to be able to talk about, getting dementia is so hard, because now I went from knowing people to not knowing people, and everyone is convincing me that I know them, and I'm so frustrated, and I don't know what to do, and everyone is treating me like I'm a child and everything. So there's so much stigma around it. So I think that was just part of it. So we just wanted that broad base, be able to talk about all these other things as well, and just how the two worlds coincide, because societal and everything, even bring a touch of faith in it, because I think there's so much, even the church in many ways has contributed to that stigma, unfortunately, of mental health, where we've quickly dismissed things and said, oh yeah, we throw of us like, don't worry. And you shouldn't be worried about anything, but in everything, And these are real verses, they're very powerful. But I feel like sometimes we just cherry pick and we don't even focus on the nitty-gritties. There's stories in the Bible where, it's talked about where God is just present with someone. There's like, I think in the Psalms, there's so many Psalms where David is just talking about how he's in despair and he's sad, and he's despair and he's sad. And you almost get tired. I'm like, okay. It's like there's so many chapters about this. Like, what's going on? But you just realize that there's even that aspect of sitting with your emotions and being present is still there. So I think it was just a wide base, be able to just bring this whole thing home, but just talking about it from so many different angles, even from the African perspective. I think we talked about colonization and stuff. That was one of the big topics I had to talk about. So I'm so glad we got to talk about it. And then just getting something that just ties everything together and is able to not just communicate to adults, but also to the youth, to teenagers, to parents. So I think even in a lot of the way we conduct ourselves, I think we try to have a very objective approach to the topics that we're doing. Maybe sometimes we may fail in that objectivity. That's a possibility. But we really strive for that objectivity where we can be able to be like, okay, this is about emotions. So there's about being too sensitive, but how do we regulate that? How do we, so being able to just get everyone in the conversation. Because I think a lot of times, even when people make bad decisions, when people may not say bad decisions, but let me take an example of an African parent and an African child. So let's say the African parent has had the African child, but the African parent also comes from a point of their heart with their African parent. The African parent also comes from a point of their first time parenting. The African parent also comes from a point of seeing that this is the right thing to do because they've been told by other African parents that's the right thing to do. So they're frustrated when it didn't work out. Then the African child, of course, comes from a point of, I've been hurt and my parents are not listening. Just getting these two worlds to come together and sit at the table and be like, okay, I see that to some extent there was some truth to what you were doing. Not necessarily that it was right, but there was truth in that it's what you deeply felt was beneficial. And so I think when we get to that point where we're not just accusing African parents, like, you're the cause of childhood trauma. It's like, yeah, and they also had childhood trauma, and so it just puts people in a very weird position. So I think these are the three things that I would love to bring out with the podcast. Yeah.
It's so interesting. And I think that these perspectives that you brought in, I think, I can't wait personally to see like the future of this.
Yeah.
And you also mentioned that there's this elephant in the room, of because when you're talking about the silence is the things that nobody really wants to talk about,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
For instance, the example with the African parents, you know, the aversiveness to look into like the trauma of our parents.
Yeah.
You know, why do you think, what contributes to this silence or this tendency to bypass and to not look at the problem, especially within our Kenyan context?
Yeah. I think when we become very passive as a society, I think it really contributes to this. Because it's like, I was traumatized, so I need to traumatize you. You know, I was hurt, so I need to hurt you.
Yeah.
You know, so we're just very passive with like, okay, fine, that happened and it hurt, but now I'm going to forget the pain and I'm going to just continue on with my life. I'm just going to continue with this. So I think this level of passiveness just really contributes to the silence, because then we become we make it the normal. We make quote unquote trauma the norm. It's like, no, there's no such thing as trauma. It's this is just the way it is. I think there's a common phrase in African households. This is just the way it is. This is how it's been. This is how I was taught. This is how we do our things. It's like, if you don't agree with it, then that's your own problem. Get your own family. You know, so there's a lot of these statements that we talk about that mainly point towards our passivity.
Yeah.
Is that a word? Yeah.
Yes,
I think that's a word.
yeah.
How passive we are in life, where we're unable to even be able to reorganize our belief systems. It's like, yeah, that's the way you were brought up, but are you able to be challenged on that? Are you able to be challenged on a belief you have, even on an attitude you have or something like that? And being able to sit there, maybe even if you disagree with someone else's belief, but just being able to hold space for them to be able to talk about it. I think that's when we begin moving past the silence. Because I think we live so marginalized in so many areas. Of course, economically and stuff, but also socially, where it's like, this is what I believe, and I believe this to be true, and that's it. If someone tries to raise a discussion of challenging that, we don't want to hear it. I think this is very common even with us Christians. It's that, it's like, what do you mean? What do you mean don't believe in God? It's like, what are you trying to say about, you know? So there's this sense of defensiveness that comes because we're scared to be challenged on our beliefs. We're scared to be challenged on the things that we deem to be true. And I think that creates a lot of silence because it disallows the other person to get to hear a perspective they may not have had before. You know, like, okay, what's your reasoning behind that? What was your reasoning behind that? Not necessarily that what they did was right, as you earlier said, but what was going through their mind? Because I think everyone is a human being trying to navigate their space. And a lot of that navigation comes from what they truly believe in their heart, you know? So I think that contributes to the silence. Yeah.
And would you also say that it's sort of the fear of what the change would mean in their lives?
Yeah.
And from what it sounds like is you really want this podcast for people to meet mental health with greater depth instead of just throwing around buzzwords. Like how to get rid of people pleasing, but how do we actually, like, what
exactly do we do to move towards that? I love the way you've asked that, because I'm even thinking of African parent, African child. I think that's a first perspective I got introduced to when I delved into the field of psychology, where it's like the fear of change for an African parent would be the fear of having to quote unquote accept that they failed as a parent, but that may not be the case. So I think there's a lot of fear of like, okay, what if this be true? So what does that mean for me? What does that mean for my beliefs? What does that mean for the life I've built around believing that what I was doing was correct, what I was doing was right? And so when we get into that space where we're immediately associating a challenge of our beliefs with, I guess, a challenging of the foundation of who we are, then I think it becomes a bit tricky.
Yeah.
Because sometimes we just want to put things on the table and say, this is a flower pot and this is a mug.
Yeah.
And they can both sit on the same table.
Yeah.
And that's okay. You know, and they don't have to interchange identities. The flower mug, I mean, the flower flower pot doesn't have to become as silver as the mug. The mug doesn't have to become as pink as the flowers in the flower mug. I mean, base. Yeah. So I think it's just something about us tying a lot of ourselves to, I think, the things we believe. I think I don't know if it was Gabor Mate who talked about this or someone else, but there's this whole concept of your personality is like a shopping cart, where you can, throughout your life, you can put things and you can remove things from the shopping cart. It's like, okay, that doesn't serve me anymore now, I can remove it. This serves me now, I can add it. You know, so it's just being able to be challenged, because I think the more we're challenged about the things we believe, the more true to ourselves we become. Because now we have concrete reasoning for the things that we believe to be true about ourselves, about our values and everything. It's like, okay, so why do you believe in love? Why do you believe in this? And then 1,000 people can tell you about all these negative things about love. But because you built such a strong foundation within yourself by allowing the challenge to come, then you're able to walk in that love and you're able to share that perspective with others without necessarily shaming them for not believing in love, quote unquote.
Yeah. That's so interesting. And from what you're saying, it makes me think of the fragility that a lot of us have with the relationship with ourselves, and also with we're getting this false sense of security through through clinging on to the buzzwords, or through clinging on the things that sound nice and easy, or just saying this is just how it is. And I think it's amazing that you're bringing in this African perspective as well, because since colonization, our identity has been messed up with, people saying like, oh, this is wrong, this is barbaric, this is that. And do you think that also kind of contributes to the aversion that African parents have towards being challenged?
Yeah. I think for a long time, the system of traditional African society has changed beyond what people are likely to accept. But that's my opinion. Whereas in the past, even pre-colonization times, because the unfortunate reality is there are not many books that talk about the pre-colonization times, and the ones that maybe do talk about it from a very Western perspective. It's like, we found the Africans in huts sitting around a fire, but they didn't talk about how close we were as a community, how we were able to hold each other accountable to things, how we shared things, just going into depth about that. So a lot of that has changed over generations. And so I think whoever gets the script now is like, oh, so this is a script. It's like, I'm supposed to discipline my children in this way. Otherwise, they'll become spoiled brats. And if your children are spoiled brats, that makes you a bad parent and stuff like that. So because of this, what has been handed down to us, we quickly form belief systems. And it's very hard to move from one belief system to another. Because it's like belief systems are formed like after a lot of continuous thought and accepting of this to be true. So I think there's a lot of resistance that comes with it. I think there's this aspect of cognitive dissonance where first of all you have this thought, you have this belief system and you're unwilling to budge. It's like, no, I know it's right. And then you get into this point where you're like, okay, maybe there may be some truth in that. And then you begin to move towards maybe, is that cognitive dissonance? Not a psychologist. So I think there's a lot of fear towards the resistance. Because the resistance is uncomfortable. To sit and be told that you're wrong is very uncomfortable.
Exactly.
It's like, okay, now I have to deal with embarrassment that comes with being wrong. I have to deal with the fear that other people are not trusting me anymore with information. I have to deal with the fear of what that reality means. That means that I don't know. But it's like, maybe it doesn't.
Exactly.
Maybe it just means that you are wrong in that statement, but doesn't make you a wrong person.
No, that's what you said, the way you said it was so and it's also, I think we've gone into many tangents now, but to kind of get into who you are, behind Bridging the Silence, behind being a mental health advocate, behind being a medical student, how would you describe yourself to someone if you couldn't use your titles, what you studied, or where you're from?
Oh my.
What would you say about yourself?
That's tough. Let me see. I think I would describe myself as someone who has relearned to be sensitive. Someone who struggled being too sensitive and relearned that actually it's the power of sensitivity, that actually it could be a good thing. Because now when you're sensitive, you're more in tune with those other people, what other people are feeling and their experiences, and that helps you better show up in society as someone who's not just thinking about yourself but thinking about other people. I think I describe myself as someone who's learning to be patient. I think we talked about this earlier. I've struggled with micromanaging and controlling because, I think for a very long time, I was what the education system would want you to be. You're the quote-unquote smart kid who follows all the orders and all the rules in class and doesn't challenge authority. That was me for a very long time. And so just moving from that to a place where I'm like, no, actually there are different ways things can work. Being flexible and being spontaneous. It's like, no. for a long time, it was like, yeah, we're not allowed to do that.
Yeah.
It's like, no. Have we asked for permission? Yeah. So a lot of just learning to be patient with process and patient also with other people's process and patient with this idea of moving from being controlling to not being so controlling, to being a bit more flexible. Just being able to hold things together and be like, okay, so that can be challenged, of course, in a respectful way or something, but there's a way we can navigate those situations. How else I describe myself? I think I'm someone who likes to get the job done. And so I'm very, let me say, perfectionism kind of plays a role in that. Of course, relearning what healthy perfectionism means is part of my journey. Because for a long time, perfectionism was tied to being controlling and stuff like that. So now perfectionism now is like learning how to, coordinate so many different aspects to be able to get the job done. I don't know if that makes sense. Where it's like, because, when I'm given a job, also part of being that kind of a kid, you're trying to get the job done to please the teacher, so the teacher is happy, and yeah, that's it. But now it's like just relearning that, okay, we can be productive without necessarily having to please the teacher, but also being able to involve other people in this, which has been really hard, like working in teams where you can be able to be like, okay, I know I can do this work by myself, but how about I try delegating? It's like, come do this, just come do that, come do that. So I think I'm someone who just really, I delight in teamwork and delegation, and I don't know, I feel like I'm moving into more of like not managerial space, but more into a space where you're likely to coordinate more and give people the benefit of doubt that they will get the job done well and perfectly, and trusting them with that and being confident enough to do that. Trying to see other things to.
Could I just quickly say, I think it's so cool the way you talk about relearning, especially relearning sensitivity, because if there's anyone that has been through it, it's those people that have been labeled as too sensitive. So I think it's so nice how you're relearning and leaning into it and seeing it as one of your strengths. That really stood out to me.
I think, hey, that's been the longest journey. Still there. Still there. I think even doing this episode was such a, I think we're talking about this earlier, such a challenge. It's like, oh my God, good to be vulnerable on camera. How unfortunate. But just seeing the importance of that is that when you allow yourself to be a little bit inconvenienced, maybe it might have some great impact for someone else. I think just seeing the bigger picture, like just seeing outside yourself, like, okay, what's the benefit of me being honest in this moment? That I'm not perfect, that I don't have it all together, that I didn't figure out life just like that. I'm not this all-knowing guy. It's like, oh wow, he's a medical student. He's like, no, I'm struggling with my grades. I'm struggling. I'm looking at the timetable and I'm crying. So just being able to, I think, be human and be honest and allow that honesty to allow someone else to be honest with themselves and be like, oh wow, okay, so you don't have it together, I don't have to have it together, stuff like that. So
and that's what the media space needs. Like, we need more real, messy, and I think that's what you're describing Bridging the Silence is about. It's about getting into the messiness. What would you say was your messiest moment of bridging the silence in your life?
I think still 2020. Definitely still 2020. I think everything was everywhere. It's like walking into a room where you have to fold clothes, and clothes are here and clothes are there, they're on the bed, they're on the floor. It's like, oh my God. So I think that was a very messy moment. And very trying as well, because it just showed me how impatient I was as well. Just getting here and being like, oh, okay, so I have to sit in this messiness for a while, not necessarily try to figure things out at first. So I think that was probably the messiest moment, I'd say. But that was a culmination of messy moments, I guess. That's what makes it the messiest.
That makes. And for the people on the other side who are watching, this podcast, who are engaging in it, being a part of the community, how would you like them to feel if you were able to kind of visualize it for them? How would you want the people who are part of this community to feel like in their hearts?
I think just that one statement that I think just did a whole 360 for me was your feelings are valid. Because I don't think that's said enough. I don't think it's emphasized enough. Or even if it's said, I think it's said so passively. It's like, yeah, you can feel. But it's like, no. Your feelings are valid. It's like, it's okay to not be okay. It's okay for you to just sit in the disarray and go, I don't know what's going on. I don't have things figured out. This is really uncomfortable. It's okay to be there, and it's okay to just even make small steps towards healing, but also not to punish yourself when you're not making those steps. It's okay sometimes for it not to make sense. I think I've talked about it being like 2.5 years. But that's like when the major stuff was Nini. So right now I'm still actively processing things, which I wish would have been done in like a month or so. But it's okay for you to just be in the process and allow yourself to feel stuck even when you feel stuck, not punishing yourself for being stuck. Because I think it's just part of the human experience, part of life is being able to get all these experiences together and decide the kind of person you want to be in life. But it doesn't happen unless you're able to sit with these experiences and put them all on the table and go, okay, so because of this, I think seeing from the podcast, it's because of this is what I would like to do in life. This is what I want people to benefit from, So just being authentic, I think. But it starts with sitting and being present in these uncomfortable moments.
I think that's really powerful. It even struck me when you were like, my feelings are valid, because maybe I also needed to hear that from like this week. But it's true, like we throw it around a lot, but what kind of prevents us from capturing it with its depth, and integrating that phrase, And from what it sounds like you're literally trying to bridge the silence and to have that such messages be integrated with a lot more depth and practically in someone's life. As so this being like the introduction of bridging the silence, how do you what are your wildest thoughts about where this could go?
This is so interesting because we're having quite a number of conversations, because people are like, wow, this will turn out so well, and I'm like, I really hope so. Like, I don't know, we could just release this and get 2 views, but I think that's still good, because I think first of all was just getting to the realization that even if it reaches one person and it makes an impact, I think that's just it for me. I'll die a happy man. Like that's all it takes, honestly. But in terms of the future of it, I really don't know. Like, I've tried to picture, and I think for me what usually comes to mind is like, this is like a stepping stone towards something more. Because actually the first idea behind spreading this awareness and stuff was not even the podcast. The podcast came as an afterthought, I think, in high school. I don't know where I got to, but there was a time I was constantly hearing, okay, let me just trace it back like this. So after the whole Matthias Jibaka thing, diving into psychology, I assumed I could be a psychologist. I could be a therapist to my friends. So of course, they're sharing and you're like, wait, I have some insights on this. Let me help you out. And just trying, which was dangerous as well. Because I had no qualifications, but just getting to see how much people were struggling just made me realize, like, oh wow, there's something we need to about this. Because a lot of these people in African homes where therapy is not necessarily believed to be a thing. So it's not like they can just be like, I'm struggling, I need some professional help. So I was trying to be the therapist to so many people. Of course, that didn't go too well. But I guess just coming to the realization that, like, oh my God, therapy is so expensive. What if we do something about that? So the initial idea was, what if we made a site like, okay, I'm sharing this, someone's gonna steal the idea, but that's fine. As long as it happens. But a site like, Omegle, I think Omegle was back in the day where you could just log on, get to meet a therapist or something, and like, therapy, sorry, get to meet a random person around the world and just have a conversation. It's like, I don't like you, skip. So I was thinking, what if that worked with therapy? It's like where we get people to come on board and just experiment with therapy for a bit. Where these therapists are not charging you anything at all. Or like it's like 100 shillings. It's like very affordable.
Interesting,
and you come on board and you're like, I don't like this therapist, skip. I don't, because some generally don't click with you, even if they're good. So I think that's normal.
Yeah.
So it was just being able to have this space where I can create safe spaces for people where, quote unquote, their parents don't have to find out that they're, seeing a therapist, but just where they're able to still access healing.
Yeah.
Though it has been so inaccessible for a long time. Because I don't think it should be that expensive, to be honest. I don't think there's any reason for that. Okay, of course, I empathize with the fact that psychologists and therapists are still trying to make a living and provide for their families. But I don't know, is there a way we could meet in the middle,
Yeah, definitely.
Just where people, teenagers especially, because I really empathize with them. Like, you're going through so much. And especially in schools where in African society, school counselors are a hit or miss. In some schools, they're really good. In some schools, they're not as good. Even talked about to be the ones to go to the staff room and be like, let me tell you about that one, eh?
Yeah.
So just creating an avenue where these guys can still access this professional help. Because going through life is so hard. But I think going through life on the shoulders of someone else makes it a bit easy.
Yeah.
As I fully believe in coaching and mentorship and therapy, because it's like, I don't think we should be this selfish with knowledge. Like, people have existed for such a long time.
Yeah.
Just tell me how to live.
Yeah, exactly.
Just tell me exactly how to live.
Yeah.
Like, don't gatekeep.
Yeah.
Because now we're just all of us trying to figure it out. But it's like, wait, what if someone else came and be like, oh yeah, I was where you are.
Yeah.
And this is how I navigate
Exactly.
it. Because I think teenagers really need to hear that.
Exactly.
So I think, I don't remember what the question was. Is yap my way?
No, it's okay. We love a certified yapper.
That's why we do the podcast. But I think just this, so I think I was just building towards that. We wanted to do that was the first idea before the podcast, just having this space where it was accessible. And then, of course, at the moment, I was seeing so many logistics into that.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't really think this is the right time to start this out. So now when the idea of the podcast came in, I think actually how it came about, I walked into the studio at the university.
Yeah.
It was the way the medical program here runs is the first year, much of it you spend doing like non-medical courses. So counseling and communication and all that stuff. So part of a counseling communication course was a project was to come in and record a podcast.
Okay.
It's like a short thing about a medical topic or any topic you want.
Yeah.
So I walked into this studio and I was like, wow, like it immediately clicked. Yeah. This is where we're starting.
Yeah.
Somehow we're gonna get to where that thing was.
Yeah.
Or maybe even make it a lot bigger.
Yeah.
Be able to not just help Kenya, but help Africa, help Asia, help Europe. Yeah. Because there's a lot of stigma.
Yes.
And there's a lot of work to be done. I think I just keep getting reminded of that. There's so much work to be done. So yeah, I think hopefully that's where I see this going.
Yeah.
Not necessarily being like, oh, top podcast in the country or something, but just being able to create an impact that's bigger than myself and my country and my continent. Just something that just really leaves a mark and is like, oh yeah, people's lives changed because of that decision.
Yeah.
It's hard though, but anyway.
Yeah. I know what you mean. And I just the way you're speaking about it is like, wow, because you can just see the passion.
Yeah.
And earlier you spoke a lot about faith, and I think that God has definitely set up these small little just directions or just nudges, that are guide. And it's beautiful to witness that, like from the outside looking in.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited to see, and I know I'm speaking on behalf of everyone who sees this, because how can you not be inspired after listening to this podcast, this episode?
Yeah.
That we're really excited to see what you're going to do with this and what this community grows into and the impact that you're going to make. Because I think, mental health is a highly stigmatized topic to speak about, especially within our Kenyan societies.
Yeah.
And amazing. But that brings us to like an end of this episode. And what would you kind of want to give people like a heads up going forward as they listen to, like, that teaser for shows, like when they're left hanging, and what would you kind of
what's going to be ahead?
What to expect?
Wow. Hey, I feel like you're going to expect certain episodes, but you're going to get episodes that you didn't even expect at all. I think we're going to go so specifically in topics that you probably never even thought about were there. That's what we hope so anyway. And we're going to just tackle them with a lot of sophistication, a lot of grace. Of course, still learning the process. As I said, I'm not an expert. So just learning how to navigate that. But I think a lot of the topics that we've been planned for and the people that are coming to talk about those topics, I think, we're in for definitely a ride.
Yeah.
And just, it's, I don't think you can be able to anticipate what the next couple of episodes will be because it's very random.
Yeah.
I think, I don't know by now if, okay, maybe not, let me talk about this, but it's an episode we recorded yesterday that I'm really excited about. But it's like just getting to have these conversations that you never even thought about or you just assumed, were there. And so we're just going to go into the crevices of the crevices and try to dig through and get these things come to light that you never even thought were in the crevices.
Okay.
So that's what I would say. Yeah. So hopefully we get it right. If we get it wrong, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. We tried. But
I think we're in for a ride. Like, how can you not be excited after hearing this little previews?
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you for sharing.
Thank you so much.
There's something that I wanted to say before earlier, which was jumping on your thoughts. How therapy has been inaccessible, and there's also that element of it not being, our traditional way of doing things, of facilitating healing in our community was a lot more through conversations, like you were saying earlier.
Yeah.
So I think it's beautiful that you're bringing this closer to people through our tradition, kind of reclaiming our traditional way of doing things.
Yeah.
Because sometimes people can be qualified, but they don't have that human. So it's nice to bring the human back into life.
So a lot of life stories as well.
Yeah.
It's part of the package, actually. Yeah. So I think even on that, I think that was actually the exact thought behind the life stories. It's being able to get people who can talk about something in a way that no one else can. Because I think every experience is unique to people, to someone, So the way someone lives with or struggles with depression may be so different to the way someone else does, So getting those three people per se in the room and just seeing how different that is, I think it's a very beautiful conversation instead of just being so textbook. So depression is
amazing. I love how you said getting people to say things in a way that no one else can. And circling back, to the beginning of this podcast, you came in feeling very nervous. How are you feeling at the end after talking about yourself, since you're always the host?
Sorry.
Yeah.
I think we're laughing about this earlier. I was like, I'm not used to being the guest. I'm so uncomfortable. I was like, this is how you guys feel. That's crazy. So I'm so nervous. As I said as well, being vulnerable is something I'm still learning, something I'm still working on. So that all of you are listening here, it's like, oh my God. It's like, okay. Yeah. So I think now I feel, it's like, oh, you got a weight off your chest. It's like, wow, okay, that wasn't too bad. That wasn't too bad. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I think you killed it. I also left with a lot of notes that I took silently from.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Amazing. Okay. Should we say bye and stay tuned?
Stay tuned. A lot coming up, hopefully.